All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Missouri Open Door Technology series for this month. And we will go ahead and get started. So our topic for July is AT for spirituality. My name is Angelina Alpert, and I am a research assistant at UMKC Institute for Human Development. Today, we are going to do a quick overview of the Missouri No Wrong Door project. We're going to use Charting the Life course Integrated Support Star for social and spirituality. And then we are going to learn new ideas and strategies for spirituality. So if you're unfamiliar with No Wrong Door, the goal is to transform the way people access services in the communities. So it supports individuals and caregivers to make decisions on complete and accurate information about their options for anyone seeking long-term services and supports, regardless of age, income, or disability. So we have a lot of key partners for Missouri No Wrong Door, since the goal is to have a collaborative system. One of those key partners being Missouri Assistive Technology, who we partner with on this series. So the Missouri Open Door series aims to open doors to integrated supports. So we have our integrated support star here, which the goal of this is to focus on these 5 different types of supports and services. So we have personal strengths and assets, which are skills, personal abilities, strengths, things that people have, their belongings and resources. Relationships, which can be family, friends, acquaintances, neighbors. Eligibility specific options, which are needs-based services, and they're going to require some form of eligibility, whether it's a specific diagnosis or income level, age-based. We have a Missouri Open Door benefit series on those types of services. And then we have community-based, which are places in the community that anybody would have access to, such as stores, schools, groups, or membership organizations. And then lastly, we have technology, which is personal, everyday technology, your phone, your laptop, assistive or adaptive technology, and environmental technology. And that is what we cover in the series. So a little bit more about the integrated support star. Sometimes when a person relies solely on formal eligibility specific services, it can seclude them from the family or community that they want to be a part of, whether it's, and most of the time it's unintentional, but it can happen. So the idea is that we want to integrate those different types of services and supports, both formal and informal, so that a person is able to live the life that they want in the community of their choice. So Charting a Life course is a framework and set of tools to help you think differently about your vision for a good life, set high expectations, and integrate multiple types of supports. It helps you organize your ideas, visions, and goals, as well as problem solve, navigate, and advocate for supports. So I'm going to briefly go over our Charting a Life course domain taxonomy. Um, this goes through our life domains that we use in Charting the Life course, which are just different areas of life to focus on. A lot of the times people rely on safety and security as a main priority, and then don't consider other areas that would help them to live a good life. So we have daily life and employment, community living, social and spirituality, healthy living, advocacy, engagement, and safety and security. So the domain that we're going to be focusing on today is social and spirituality. So this includes personal relationships, leisure and recreation, and spiritual enrichment. So today we're going to go over a integrated support star for social and spirituality support options. So for personal strengths and assets, this would include things such as um, having hobbies and interests and the supplies needed for those hobbies, knowledge and experience playing games or other social activities, having an outgoing or friendly personality, having the money or budget for social activities, interest in or belief in a faith or higher power, and belonging to or having a role within your faith community. Relationships would be things such as friendships, dating, or members within your faith community, friends of your parents or siblings or other family members, having people with shared interest or hobby, or neighbors. Eligibility supports for social and spirituality could include things such as peer support, your support coordinator, if you're having not able to get to your place of worship, the support coordinator could help you get there. This would also include things such as fraternities or sororities, membership organizations that require some form of eligibility. And then for community resources, we have parks and recreation, public transportation, service or social clubs or groups, inclusive faith communities, sports teams and clubs, community centers and places of worship. And then for technology, we have a couple examples there, but I am going to go ahead and pass it over to Scout from Missouri Assistive Technology, and he's going to tell you some more about assistive technology options for spirituality.
All right. Hi, everybody. Hopefully our internet holds out today. Thanks for joining us today. We are glad to have you. And as we dive into AT for spirituality. All right. I am going to just go ahead and read this definition because this is the working definition that I'm using today. So it just says in this definition, spirituality is a worldview that suggests a dimension to life beyond what we experience on the sensory and physical levels. In practice, this might entail religious or cultural practices and beliefs surrounding a higher being, connection with others and the world as a whole, and or the pursuit of self-improvement. So kind of with that definition in mind, that's how I moved through this slide deck today. So, I don't have control. So let's go ahead and so one of the things I want to talk about is basically how to make a church or a synagogue or any kind of place where somebody might go for religious or even cultural events to be more accessible. So I've got a couple of slides on this, but I do want to share a quick story about this. I was doing an accessibility survey of a church, and I was telling the woman that the route from parking to the church door was not accessible. And she had not realized this. She was the pastor. She had not realized that there was no accessible route. And she said, but I haven't ever had to think about it because no people with disabilities or physical disabilities come here. And I looked at her and I was like, well, they can't. And it was kind of this realization on her part that she had not basically like cleaned up her side of the street. Of course, nobody is coming because they can't get in, at least with mobility issues. And so it can be our part, especially I think many of us on this call are working with people with disabilities. So if you are going someplace and you notice any of the lack of accessibility features, in a where you go to get your spiritual enrichment, point it out. Maybe it is something that your center would like to improve upon. All right, so with that, we'll go into seating. So accessible routes are obviously needed for many types of disabilities that are not on this list. Um, Creating accessible seating, having spaces that isn't just like one spot for people who use mobility devices to sit can be really helpful and can feel very inclusive. Also to realize that not everyone stands, and so are there spots where people can sit, where they can see even if others are standing. You can do an audit, yeah, like I was just referencing earlier, that you can bring somebody in to help make sure that your space is more accessible. And also the etiquette. So this is talking about, how do we talk to and about people with disabilities that isn't patronizing. All right, we can go on to the next one. Check your print materials. Are they easy to read? Do they have clean fonts? Just sometimes people use very stylized fonts, which can make even a large font really difficult to read, or for a variety of different conditions can just make things harder. So, check the printed material. Is the space looped? Which means it is basically an environment where a person with a telecoil hearing aid could go into that and then access that information that would be amplified right to their hearing aid. Or is there captioning? Do they offer an FM system for somebody? Are there options for folks with hearing loss? And, something that can affect people is other people's fragrances. So it is an option to designate a fragrance-free area for people for whom that affects in that way. Um, and then transportation is transportation provided. Accessible transportation is more difficult to get. It's more difficult to maintain all of that. But even people with mobility limitations, if they're offered maybe even a variety of transportation modes, for many, they could use that. And then again, kind of back to the disability etiquette, has your place of worship been trained in disability etiquette? Do people feel comfortable talking to people that maybe may walk, may sound different from them? And then this list is suggesting to appoint somebody as an advocate, as a person that is kind of in charge of making sure that your place of worship is inclusive and accessible, and a person who can kind of be a go-to person. So that's also an option there. All right. On the slides now, I just have an infographic that I thought was kind of interesting. So, and it just says, the percentage of folks who have heard about accessibility or heard it discussed during a sermon or during liturgy, where they go to worship, and 15% of the people surveyed said they had, and 85% said they had not. And then some of the accessibility options that the people that were surveyed found, wide aisles. I think this one is fairly easy for most places of worship, especially if it is a place where people get married, because they're, used to having more than one person walk down that center aisle. But 84% does have aisles that were wide enough for wheelchairs. And, does the place have several places to seating options? And 66% did. Only 49% allowed service animals, and 47% had assistive listening systems, and 45% had a choir area that was accessible for people in wheelchairs or with other mobility needs. And 11% of the places of worship had braille or large print hymnals and other printed material. So not too many. I have seen lots of very small text in churches myself. But I just thought that was kind of an interesting, you know, infographic to share, but we can move on. Um, okay, so if we're talking about spirituality in, you know, whether it is you want to work with the Bible or any other religious text, or maybe it is that kind of self-improvement or enrichment or, you know, other kinds of ways people experience spirituality, but maybe you'd like to get that from a book. One of the services that is available to Missourians is the Wolfner State Library. It is a library that provides informational and recreational material in audio format, in large print. And it is for anyone who has difficulty with standard text. So whether it's blindness or visual or physical impairment or reading disability. So anyone who has difficulty with standard text can use this service. Now, this player, if you can see what's on the screen, is kind of like an old school tape player. It is designed to be simple. The cartridges are MP3 files that look like old cassette tapes. But it is really nice because it is familiar to people. It's very easy to use. But they also have an app, the Bard app, which is the icon on the right side of the screen. And so you can download your book onto your app and listen to it from your phone or tablet, which is a really nice option that a lot of people are choosing these days. And just as a, you know, kind of a fun fact, Wolfner has over 250 titles listed under spirituality alone. So lots to choose from there. So they do require an application, but we can move on to some other reading apps. I know not everybody wants to, not everybody is comfortable going into a physical space. Not everybody is comfortable getting their spirituality from books, but these are really really good options. So apps like Audible and Kindle, you can download books again onto your phone, a tablet, use it on your computer, and for a fairly minimal fee, you can get a wide range of books. And then there are apps like Hoopla and Libby, which are used by public libraries. And where I live, we have Libby, and you can download books and read them, you know, again, on your tablet, on your phone, however you choose to read your books. And then all of that would be free of charge. But it is a great way to incorporate technology into your spiritual life. Okay. And so what if you have text like a book, and you really want to use that book as part of your spiritual practice? And if you have trouble you know, accessing that book and you don't go through Wolfner, there are lots of other ways you can access that text by using some apps like these. Seeing AI is designed for folks with vision loss, but I've been showing it to folks with dyslexia and lots of other conditions because it is a free and simple app to use. Google Keep, Microsoft Lens, and Notes all have functions that can do what's called optical character recognition, or OCR, as well, and can read that text from a physical form like a book or a note, and read that out loud. So those are just some nice options for reading. I think we have a couple more apps. so we're kind of sticking in our app section right now. There's lots and lots of apps out there. This got a little wonky. I was trying to, so we have meditation and mental health, which is the Headspace app, is represented of that area. There's an image of what looks like a leather-bound Bible with a cross, and that is the image for the Daily Bible Verse app. Some people want to explore spirituality in a very different way, maybe in the outdoors. And so I did include there's a brown square, which is the Missouri Outdoor app through the Department of Conservation, and it can talk about the trails and the conservation areas. Or there are things like, in that idea of self-improvement, there are probably a million apps out there in that category, but the 12-step toolkit for folks going through the 12-step program could be one of those ways that you are practicing your spiritual path. All right. Apple has, so iPhones has a lot to offer in the health app. And one of the newer additions to this is the mental well-being. So when you go to the health app, which is the little, white background with a red heart, and go to browse at the bottom, you'll get this list of health categories. And one of those categories one of the categories that has been added is mental well-being. And you can log your emotions and your moods. It talks to you about, there's just so many resources in this section of this app. And you can, yesterday I did a quick, I rated my mood. I was feeling, my mood was pleasant. I was feeling satisfied. And I had already been out in the sun for a few minutes yesterday morning and gotten a little exercise, but it just kind of gives you that overview of, how you're doing. And you can say, well, maybe I didn't go outside, but for 3 minutes a day, and that's affected my mood. So there's just so much to explore there. I really would encourage you to explore some of that in that health app. Oh, this one also got a little tossed around with some images. So, so I don't control my slides once the way they view to you. So this one is not exactly how I intended it to look, and I am going to tell you how I intended it to look. So virtual platforms. The intent was to have computers, tablets, smartphones in large text, and the words at the bottom be in very small text, because it is kind of just this route. And the only thing I want to talk about this is, if you are working with somebody who would like to attend a meeting, whether it's a church service or any other kind of event with a virtual platform, of course, we all know that there are many different platforms, whether it's a Facebook Live or a Zoom meeting or, the WebEx, what is it? Google Meet. There's just many platforms to use right now. And many of us who kind of live on these platforms kind of take for granted of how we get into those and how others would get into those. So that's the only thing I wanted to kind of address here, is that if you are supporting somebody who wants to use a virtual platform for a meeting, know that that there are things that they have to do, and there are things that are different with each platform, and it may require a little more support than just saying, oh yeah, just hop on a Zoom meeting. They can be very simple, but sometimes those first routes of entry can be hard, and it might take some, um, just hand holding in the beginning to make sure everybody has access to that. Uh, all right, and then the picture of the rabbit hole can feel like a rabbit hole to work in some of these, and I was just told yesterday that um, some of the requirements for different things, like a Facebook Live event, have changed recently. And so what you thought you knew also might change. All right. So lots of folks use candles in their religious or spiritual ceremonies or events or meetings. So sometimes those can be difficult. But so I put out, I thought, well, why not have some options for that? So remote controlled battery operated candles. I think we are seeing more and more of these on the market. It is nice because you can set a timer, so you can just turn it on, set it, and go. I actually had some of these at my house over the holidays, and we just set them to come on for 4 hours a night. It was great. And they come in all different shapes and sizes, of course. And then the rechargeable electric lighters with a push button ignition. So they are much safer than an open flame. They work to light all kinds of things, and they're rechargeable. What's not to love? The ones I have pictured have a gooseneck option, so you can really bend that down to get to an actual wick. So yeah, so they will light a variety of things, not just a wick. So if you were lighting sage or something else, you could use that as well. So I thought I would throw those in. They're kind of nice. And then maybe, again, if you're going back to the books, book holders and supports. So I have a couple of images on the screen. The one furthest to the left is, I think many people might think of this as a cookbook holder, but it is just a tilting book holder with two supports to keep the pages open. So, and those supports can flex in or out for a wider or more narrow book, which is nice. And then generally the backs fold up so that they lay fairly flat with just the rim where the book rests that sticks up. The one above that is a red cushion type book or tablet holder. So again, it has that ridge at the bottom to hold the book or tablet. It is soft instead of hard like the wooden one. You can rest it on your lap more easily. It does not fold, so the difference is there, but those are also very nice. And then the two other images I have, the one with the thumb is just, these are both 3D printed. One is just a little thumb support that holds the pages open, so you don't have to maybe use both hands or spread your fingers to hold that open, but you can just press with your thumb. The other one I have not yet printed, but because I just found it, is a support more like the first one with the kind of the wing arms that holds the book open. But those are nice because for very low cost, you can take a file to the library or use a 3D printer or contact me and get something like that that could help somebody read a book. A couple of other supports that could be for hearing. In the beginning, I talked about a looped environment. And so in the middle, I do have hearing aids with a T-coil in a looped environment. That is great. It works, it generally will work really well. The problem is not everybody has T-coil in their hearing aids. Or these days we can move on to Bluetooth, which could be also a great support, but not everybody has that. And so to use an FM system, like is pictured on the left, where there is a receiver and so the speaker would hold the transmitter, the user would hold the receiver, and either have a neck loop or have headphones to hear that the main speaker. And the nice thing is that the transmitter can be passed around if multiple people are speaking. Um, on the right side of the screen is a personal amplifier. So this just picks up the sound around someone. So again, it could be great for any kind of meeting. If there's a lot of background noise, these can, they will amplify all of that. But it is a personal amplifier is a great support for folks with hearing loss. I have some notes here that I kind of wanted to discuss because, oops, I took my watch off. I think we have, oh, yeah, we have plenty of time. But I did want to talk about, so, you know, this is mainly focused on spirituality, but what we want with that definition that I read early is really to have everybody integrated into their community and accessing those supports they need. And often when we think about supports, we think about, you know, really like physical supports and monetary supports and how do we get healthcare and these things. But our spiritual well-being, really, we want people to have access and good access to their full lives. And so really integrating our whole community into these supports that we have is what is right, is what is good. And so sometimes that, again, might take advocacy on our part to really say, you know, are we being welcoming in every way possible to anyone who wants to access this service, which might be church service or any other kind of meeting or, you know, access to the library or those kinds of things. So really, it feels to me like this topic really includes our relationships with others, because those are can be an important part of our spiritual life. It really involves our community resources, like our churches and potentially libraries and other meeting spaces. Our technology, if we are using a virtual platform or if we are accessing books in a digital format, as well as potentially eligibility supports. So we're almost going around that whole star with things that are useful. With eligibility supports, we might have specific transportation that is available for someone, and maybe it's computer access that that person might be eligible for with a program like our Tap for Internet program or something like that. So really, probably with every topic, but I don't know, somehow it struck me more with this one that we really need to consider all aspects of that star. So that is my those are my ending thoughts for today, which I think makes this a pretty quick session. So if anybody has anything else they'd like to add, we are a smaller group today. We can ask Angelina or I if we can unmute and people can talk, or the chat is active. You can feel free to throw things in the chat. And maybe if you have some comments about anything in your work or in your life that you want to share with our group today.
Thank you, Scout. Yeah, as Scout said, if you have any comments, questions, feel free to either put them in the chat, or if you raise your hand, I can go ahead and unmute you. But while we're waiting to see if any questions or comments come in, I'll just go through the couple of closing slides that we have here. So the benefit series that I mentioned earlier, the next one coming up is going to be on August 14th. Let's see. Got a question in the chat. Do you have a PDF with all the apps and tools you share with us? So when I send out a follow-up email after each mod, and we have a sheet with all of the resources that Missouri Assistive Tech shares during those. So as long as you are registered, you will be added to our listserv and you will get that follow-up email. So you'll be able to see a list afterwards with all of those. And then we also record these and post them to the Charting the Life Course Nexus YouTube. So if for some reason the specific thing that you were looking for doesn't make it onto the list, it will be recorded as well.
Yeah, and you can always reach out to us here at Missouri Assistive Technology if you have questions on something. Angelina, I do have a question. Is that list of devices and technology, is that available anywhere else? I'm sorry if you just said this and I missed it.
It's not. It's only in the follow-up emails for now.
Okay, so you could reach out to us if you missed that follow-up email. We have a copy of that for each month. We didn't start that until I don't know, 6 months ago. But we can probably get one for any past mod if you're interested. Somebody commented, accessible entrances for mobility should be through the main door, shouldn't be a separate door, which is a really great point. You know, if possible, absolutely. Sometimes, you know, especially the very old churches have 12 stairs up to their front door, and a ramp is not feasible, and sometimes a different entrance becomes the kind of the most equitable, instead of spending all the church's money on just making the door accessible. But as often as possible, having everyone enter the same way is just it feels right and good. Okay, there's some more. Okay, so somebody is commenting on adult changing tables. It really, this is a significant issue for adults who want to be integrated into the community, but do have significant incontinence issues, that it is very limiting. So if there's ever a time to advocate, if somebody is doing a bathroom remodel, having an adult size changing table can be a huge game changer. If there's a family restroom that can be made big enough for an adult size changing table, it really can, like I said, be a game changer for families, for individuals. There's some great things coming in on the chat if you have time and ability to read those. People are talking about Paige is talking about a quiet room for those that can have overstimulation, maybe. And churches that provide a video feed directly to a computer, either through their own website or a platform like Facebook, help individuals remain connected, even if they are unable, due to health or other concerns, to join. Absolutely. And that's why I was saying these platforms can be so different. Some of them are very simple to use, and some of them can be more complex and sometimes take that support of staff or family to really help people connect and stay connected. I don't know if I've I don't know if I've missed any of the chat things.
I think we hit all of them. The only other one I'm seeing, I'm not sure if it was meant to be a question or a statement. But when working with somebody, their spiritual, like what is considered spiritual is based on their wants, needs, and wishes. So yeah, spirituality looks different for everybody. So completely up to the person that you're working with, as to what spirituality is going to look like for them.
Right, and it's great as a support person or a support team that we can really be open to listening to what that individual needs. Thank you all, and please don't stop. If you've got more comments, throw them in or any questions. I think it's nice to have time for a conversation around some of these issues.
Yes.
But
So
yeah,
I'll keep making my way through these slides. But I will stop if anything else comes, so feel free. Like I was saying, the next benefit one is going to be August 14th. We're trying to get a Medicaid session in, whether it's Medicaid 101, but it might be the low income benefits. We're not quite sure yet, but there will be one on August 14th. And then the technology series, the next one is August 28th. That will be advocacy for assistive technology. And then we also have the schedules out for the rest of the year for both of those. November 20th, the November one is going to be on a different week, just to avoid holidays. And then there will not be a series for December for either. And then at UMKC IHD, we also house the Missouri Family to Family Statewide Resource Center. The website is there, and we have Good Life groups, which are interactive peer learning collaboratives. Though the schedule for those is on the website there. We also have our Charting the Life course and Family to Family quarterly stakeholder meetings. The next one is going to be in person in Kansas City in August. And then if you're interested in learning more about charting the life course, our website is lifecoursetools.org. All of the tools that we went over today are on there. And then we also have different options for further training, if you're interested in that. And there is our contact information that I'll leave up for a second. And if nobody else has any questions or comments, thank you all for joining us today. And thank you, Scout. And we
thank you,
will
Angelina.
we will see you next time.
All right. Thanks, everybody.